quaint, windswept town of Elmwood, a story began to unfold that soon wove itself into the fabric of local gossip, much like the ivy that clung stubbornly to the ancient oak in the heart of the Wilson's forest. At the center of this story was an old treehouse, enshrouded in both mystery and the thick leafy arms of aged trees. It was precisely the sort of place around which local legends are crafted, and one cloudy afternoon, a group of teenagers, Nathan, Caleb, Josh, and Dylan, found themselves magnetically drawn to its mysterious charm. This treehouse, a relic of forgotten times, lay concealed off the familiar trails, known only to those with the courage to delve deep into the thicket. Legend had it that the original creator had long abandoned the town, leaving behind nothing but whispered stories and this wooden guardian overseeing the forest. Driven by a mix of youthful curiosity and the boldness that often accompanies the young, the boys decided it was the perfect place for an exploration. As they neared, the treehouse appeared to materialize out of the forest itself, its wooden panels cloaked in moss and creeping vines. The windows were coated in dust, the fading light reflecting off the glass, and the door was slightly open, as though it had been awaiting their arrival. Inside, they stumbled upon traces of a life once lived. Comic books with colors bleached by time, a pair of binoculars corroded with rust, and a walkie-talkie that seemed untouched by human hands for years. The scent of aged pine and dampness filled the interior, and as they sifted through these remnants, the initial excitement of their discovery slowly shifted to a sense of foreboding. The air inside turned inexplicably colder, a sharp contrast to the summer warmth outside. As the sun dipped lower, stretching shadows long and thin through the trees, the walkie-talkie suddenly sputtered to life. A hiss of static was punctuated by snippets of voices from another era, the words too muffled and distant to be distinct. Disturbed by these unexplainable sounds, the boys agreed it was time to leave. However, as they prepared to descend, Nathan noticed something unsettling. The comic book he had placed back on the floor was now on the windowsill. The binoculars had moved from one corner to the next. The ladder they had climbed up seemed to have been subtly pulled away from the tree. Caleb, who had been quiet the entire time, was the first to break. As he turned towards the window, his body tensed. His breathing grew shallow. Dylan followed his gaze just in time to see the dark outline of a figure shift behind the dusty curtain. The sight drained the color from his face, and before he could utter a word, Josh collapsed. Panic surged through the group. Josh had fainted, his body limp against the wooden floor. Nathan and Dylan scrambled to lift him, while Caleb, now completely rattled, kept glancing toward the window as if expecting to see something, someone, looking back. The weight of fear pressed down on them, urging them to leave. With quick, frantic movements, they hauled Josh down the treehouse ladder, barely pausing before dragging him through the woods. They emerged from the trees just as the last slivers of daylight faded, breathless and shaken. By the time Josh regained consciousness, they were already near the main road, their pounding hearts slowing, but their fears still tangible. None of them spoke about what they saw. They didn't have to. The understanding was mutual. They would never return. Over time, their experience became another story folded into Elmwood's whispered legends. Those who dared to approach the woods claimed the treehouse stood eerily still, untouched by the wind. No one saw the curtain move again. The walkie-talkie never crackled to life. And yet, the boys knew something had been there that evening, watching, waiting, and whatever it was, it had never truly left. When Daniel and Melissa moved into their new home, the last thing on their minds was the treehouse in the backyard. Hidden at the edge of the woods, overlooking a dried-up riverbed. It was old but sturdy, a remnant of someone else's childhood. Melissa saw it as a forgotten relic, but Daniel, drawn to its craftsmanship, saw potential. One evening, after the last box had been unpacked, Daniel took a flashlight and wandered down to the treehouse. Climbing the weathered wooden ladder, he stepped inside, inhaling the scent of aged pine and damp earth. Dust particles floated in the beam of his flashlight as he scanned the small space. The walls were carved with names and dates, decades of history etched into the wood. Most were faded, but as he brushed away layers of dust, a pattern emerged. One date appearing again and again across the years. His stomach tightened as he realized the date was today's. It had been carved here on this very day, multiple times, stretching back decades. The air inside the treehouse grew noticeably colder, a stark contrast to the warm evening breeze outside. His flashlight flickered. A wave of unease crept over him, the kind that made the skin on his arms prickle. Stepping back, he tried to shake the feeling off and climb down. When he returned inside, Melissa chuckled at his discovery, suggesting they check it out together in daylight. He agreed, but something about it lingered in his mind. Later that night, as the couple lay in bed, Melissa nudged him, eyes fixed on their bedroom window. Beyond the backyard, in the dark expanse of the woods, a faint glow flickered inside the treehouse. Daniel sat up. There was no electricity out there, no reason for light to be coming from inside. He tried to rationalize it. Maybe moonlight catching on glass. Maybe his flashlight left on. Still, neither of them could quite shake the strangeness of it. By morning, the light had vanished. Melissa, curious but skeptical, reminded him of their plan. When they approached the treehouse together in the daylight, everything looked just as Daniel had left it. But inside, beneath the wall of names, his flashlight lay on the floor. The beam shone steadily, aimed directly at the wooden planks. It hadn't been left on. Daniel was sure of that. Then he saw it. The same date, freshly carved, sharper than the faded markings surrounding it. Neither of them spoke. Melissa left the treehouse first, stepping carefully down the ladder. Daniel lingered only a moment longer, eyes drawn to the carvings as if expecting the date to change before his eyes. They didn't return to the treehouse after that. At night, Daniel avoided looking out the window, though sometimes from the corner of his eye, he swore he saw a faint glow through the trees. Thanks for watching. If these eerie encounters sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more disturbing tales. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload. More terrifying stories are coming soon. Stay tuned.